Hello, and welcome to the Extraordinary Corporate Leaders Show. Recharge your health, relationships, and joy while still leading powerfully. I'm your host, Angela Tompkins, and today we have Frank Kitchen, who is a keynote speaker and the Mindset Master Chef. He works with organizations around the world who want their people to break through mental barriers to cook up the professional dreams they hunger for. Frank teaches his proven recipe for transforming your personal aspirations into reality with professional associations, corporations, schools, colleges, universities, profits, and civic groups around the world. The same recipe he used to go from unemployed to being recognized by the National Speakers Association, one of the top professional speakers of the planet. So thank you so much for being here, Frank. I'm really excited to learn more about what you have to share with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Angela. It's great for you to reach out and just ready to share today. Let's go ahead and have some fun.
Awesome. So can you start by tell us a little bit about the passion behind your work, how you got here?
The passion behind my work, I mean, the easiest one to share is it's my family. I've got my wife, Kelly, my son, Elijah, my daughter, Olivia. And ultimately, you shared it earlier in my bio, was I lost my job 7 years ago. And the case was, it wasn't that I put myself at risk, I put my family at risk also. I never wanted to be in that position again. So that was my passion there, was what am I going to do to take care and provide for my family where I never have to put them in a risky position again.
Wow. Amazing. I really love how you say cook up the dreams you hunger for. And that really gets my attention. So will you elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, I got to make a comment about cook, because my last name is Kitchen, and people always ask me, it's like, is that really your last name? Do you own a restaurant? I'm like, well, luckily I was born with this name, Kitchen, spelled just like the room in your house. And for years, people always made different jokes about, oh, what are you cooking up? What's cooking? And I recognized as I was going through my professional journey of, I worked a couple different careers, and then I wanted to become this professional speaker. I recognized the thing that was always in my head, the thing I was always thinking about, was to become a professional speaker and take care of my family. And I recognized for years, I thought about it and I talked about it, but I didn't put the work in to make it happen. And I'm like, okay, well, how do I put this together into a program? And I've been staring at my name for years, and I was like, it's too corny, but I needed some type of analogy to pull all my work together. And I recognized, you and I, we talk about health and food and things like that, but sometimes you think about something that you want to eat and then you start to talk about it to people. But in order for it to become a reality, you have to put in the work, which is you have to cook it up. So I recognize that for many of us, especially the people who are watching this right now, we all have some type of personal or professional dream, but many times it's our professional work that allows us to live those personal dreams. So I was like, okay, well, then what's that dream that we want to do? And there's one thing to have a dream that you like and you see other people doing it, but there's another one that you hunger for. It's that one that keeps you awake all the time, keeps you awake at night. You're talking to everybody, you want to go and do it. Well, you got to put the work in. So when I say cook is you have to put in the work. You have to be dedicated to making it happen. So I say cook up the dreams you hunger for. I don't want you to talk about it. I don't want you to think about it. I want you to work to make it happen. So you got to cook it up.
Wow. And I love that. You've got to cook it up. You have to go for it. You have to dream it and not be afraid to dream it also.
Yeah. Yeah, you're never remembered by just what you say. You're remembered by what you produce. So, I mean, if I was to come over to, like, let's say one of your events or a party, and I know I've seen your different events before, and one of the things is you have, food out. And the thing is, the thing that you're talking about wasn't the fact that you're like, well, hey, this is going to be on the menu or we're going to serve this. Is the fact that you actually served it up and I got a chance to taste it and experience it. So that's why I'm always talking to people about the cooking piece of, and it's nice that my last name is Kitchen, but it's the case of you're remembered by, the actions, not just your words. And we're in this world now where it's like, well, I talked about it, I said it. It's like, that doesn't mean anything if you don't actually put in the work to actually produce it. People are going to remember you by what you produce or what you don't produce.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of our audience is, they're extraordinary corporate leaders. They're high performing. They're really busy. They have the weight of the world on their shoulders. And it's easy to get so lost and busy up here with everything that needs to be done and keeping everything afloat and growing and thriving that sometimes we forget to dream. Sometimes we forget what it is that we want. Like, obviously we want the success, obviously we want our family to grow and thrive, but like really to do you have any suggestions or guidance on how to really tap into what it is that you do dream so
Yeah.
you're able to cook it up?
Well, the thing is, I was coaching a business owner today, and I was saying we have to be unapologetic. And when I say unapologetic, it's the sense of, if you and I are right now going to have a business meeting, let's say we're going to meet at a restaurant, and I go, "Hey, Angela, what are you hungry for? What would you order? What would you be looking for in the menu? Just be honest with me right now. I know we're flipping sides right now.
I'm like, well, if it's Sunday, I want Italian.
Okay.
Something
But you
healthy,
want something
something
more.
that's going to give me a lot of energy, something with some
Okay.
vegetables and some clean protein, and
But see,
probably a glass of wine.
that's too broad. Okay.
Right.
What would you really want? So it's Sunday. We're going out, and you're saying, you want Italian wine. So tell me, what type of Italian dish do you want?
I don't know, something with like red sauce and it's savory and maybe has a little pasta but has some protein with it and
What's
some
something that you
greens,
love?
like dark leafy. You could love dark leafy greens.
Okay.
Red wine.
Okay. So see, okay, let's go to the red wine. We'll get it past the food. You said red wine. You didn't say white. You didn't say Merlot. You didn't say
Right.
port. You didn't say any of that. You said, I want red wine. And I'm sure there's probably a label that you like.
Yeah.
Correct? What's going to happen is you ask, how do we do this? That's showing me right now. That's something that you hunger for. The other one's like, it's like maybe this, maybe that. There wasn't the same energy.
You can have the pasta or not. Just make sure the wine is there.
Yeah. But the red wine, the thing was, that desire for that piece, that hunger for it, I could see the energy in your body right here. That's like, okay, that's what you really want. There's a certain energy there. So now the case is, I'm like, okay, I know that excites you. What are you going to do to be able to get it? So when you ask me about this whole process about people dreaming, there's certain things that we dream about, but there's things that get us super excited where we dream about it and then we have to go share it with a family, a friend, someone in your network, your work spouse. You got to share it because it's very important to you that you really want it. When I talked about being unapologetic. So if we're going to go out to a restaurant right now, I'm like, okay, what do you want? You're like, I just want red wine. Guess what? I'm probably going to find it on the menu before, or, I'll ask for, the adult beverage menu before you ever do. Like, hey, I found it. Hey, there's 4 or 5 different glasses. What type would you want?
Right.
So as leaders, that's what happens is dreams or a hunger or desire that inspires people. If I come in and just like, I want us to be successful this year, maybe get some people, that doesn't excite anybody. Hey, guess what? I want us to be able to make 10% more this year. I want us to be able to hire on 5 new employees. I want us to be recognized as the top business that's out there. You can see the difference there because that's something I truly desire and hunger for. So when you asked about that piece, that's the deal. There's certain things, like my wife and I like to call it shiny objects. That looks interesting. That looks okay. But in this other points where when you're hungry for something, you don't care. I'm like, you might say, hey, wine. I'm like, hey, white wine. No, Frank, red wine. You get rid of all the distractions, all the shiny objects, because you know exactly what you want. So as leaders, we have to be completely unapologetic for what we want. And we have to be willing to share that with people, because when you said it, the key about dreaming is, I always will share this, and whoever's watching this now, they can write it down, and I'll say it slowly, is if you're afraid to share your dream, you're afraid to live it. So I'll say it one more time. If you're afraid to share your dream, you're afraid to live it. When our dream is something big and important to us, we will share it. I've got kids. My kids right now, we've got the holidays coming up. They are very unapologetic and are sharing with us and all the grandparents what they want Santa Claus to bring. Guess what? The likelihood of them getting it is very high because they weren't afraid to share. So as leaders, one is we have to dream, but we have to be willing to share that dream with the people around us to make it happen. So as I said, you and I meet up at some point on a Sunday and we go out to an Italian restaurant. I know red wine, I'll probably have red wine waiting for you before you even sit down, because I know that's what you want. That's what leadership is. Share that dream and then watch what happens.
Wow. And well, thank you for thinking ahead and having red wine waiting for me. But also I want to encourage, the leaders that are watching this too, is to really dream something for you in addition to what you dream for your personal success, but to really connect with something. And maybe now is a great time, as we're having this conversation, to just identify with something in you, a desire that maybe you've been putting on the back burner or not giving much attention to because you've been so busy doing all the things. And I just want to invite you to connect with that as we continue this conversation.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because you said many times we don't recognize that the dream may just be, quote, ours, but we don't recognize the impact that dream will have on others.
Yeah.
Back again about sharing that dream. It's like, oh, you know what? Maybe I'll try a glass of red wine too. That's getting me inspired to go try something new or different, or challenge people to try something new or different. So for me, the big goal was I wanted to live my dreams to become a speaker. But at the same point, I wanted to inspire other people to live their dreams. So as I said, I was coaching a business owner today, and the excitement for me is watching their business be a success by using my story and my methodologies to help them grow. So for me, for years was to become a professional speaker. Yes, okay, cool. Take care of my family. Yay, cool. But the thing was, I didn't want it just for myself, because I always will share people. Any great cook or chef, they don't cook just for themselves. They cook for other people. They want other people to be a part of the experience and enjoy. So as we're doing this, this will be appearing in December. Every year on December 31st, my company, we do a thing, it's called the I Live Fresh hike. And the idea is I wanted other people to enjoy and feed off of what I've learned over the years to become successful. So I reach out to all my sponsors, all my network, all the people, clients who I've worked with, and I go, hey, guess what? Here in Phoenix, Arizona, there's different mountains. So we pick a different mountain every year. I would like anybody who follows me on social media, people who work with me, clients, have people show up on New Year's Eve. And no matter how your year was that year, if you didn't live your dreams, okay, so be it. If you live your dreams, all right, join us. But what we're going to do is we're going to climb to the top of the mountain. And what we're going to do is we're going to plant a flag with our goals and dreams for the upcoming year. And we're not going to wait till New Year's to start it up. We're going to be proactive and do it before. So one is it's a little bit healthy because people are hiking and moving around. The other part is they get a chance to connect with other people. So I've watched business deals go down, networking relationships, people bringing their families. But at the end, when people come back down, we give out prizes. All my sponsors groups, they give me, and cost people nothing. And the pure joy for me and passion is like, oh, guess what? Not only am I living my dream to be a speaker, but I'm using my dream to help other people live their dream too. So when we talk about leaders, that's what keeps us motivated. Yeah, it's our dream. But then I ask the challenge is, it's one thing to be motivated for ourselves. We got some motivation. But when other people are depending on you, or you can use that to help other people grow, that gives you even more energy. So for me to watch people every year, like the posting for us is going to start up here in a few weeks for all the marketing. But it's fun to where it's like, it costs people nothing. All they have to do is show what I teach. You have to show up. Don't think about it. Don't talk about it. Show up. Make it as high as you want to. We've been doing these hikes. I usually have about somewhere 40 to 50 people will show up. But during the hike, more people join in and join into the group. So we've actually had groups that have grown. But at the end, I told people the greatest gift that we got from that was not only did they achieve their dreams, they're setting their mindset up for the upcoming year going, hey, guess what? You have a goal, you put the work into it, you enjoy the view from the top, but it's not the prizes at the end, it's the experiences and relationships that are created that day. And all that happened from me sharing my dream. Now, I don't know what your dream is or the other leaders who are watching what their dream is, but how can you use your dream to help others live their dream? That's truly, when it comes down to leadership, I say that leadership is the ability to educate, all right, energize and empower an individual or group to live a dream. So what's going to happen is you're going to educate people. So right now, you're educating people with this series of all the interviews that you're doing. All right, so we're educated. Now you're going to energize. You're going to give us the excitement and energy about, okay, it's able to do it. So we're sharing the knowledge, and we got people with energy here for all your interviews. And then empower is you've got the ability now to take what you've learned during all these sessions and go out and do it yourself. And whatever that big dream is, go out and do it. But now, as you have that dream and you're living it, share your recipe, your step-by-step plan on what you did, because all of our dreams are different, but the process to get there usually is the same.
And the first one is being willing to dream.
Being willing to dream and then willing to share it, because we're always so afraid that someone's going to steal our dream or take it away. And it's just like,
or judge it, or
judge it, put it down. Right. It's like, we're like, it's not the right time. I'm too young, I'm too old, I'm not smart enough to go and do it. People are going to laugh at me. It's like you said, it's not the right time.
Or I don't have time.
Before. Right. We self-justify why we can't do it because our brain is designed to protect us. So we self-justify why we can do it. So it's like, oh, you know what? I can't do it because I'm going to get hurt, because our brain is designed to keep us from getting hurt. So it's like, if I don't do it, then I don't get hurt. But the case is, what happens if you do it? What happens to you? And who around you will that inspire to go after their next big dream? That's the mindset that we have to take.
Yeah. And a leader that is not afraid to dream and going after it and fulfilling their own personal desires and their needs is going to show up very different than one who just brushes it off because they don't have enough time, because they have other responsibilities. And that is going to make a huge ripple effect in everyone's life around you.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's contagious. Like everybody always thinks about the word contagious being negative, but our attitude,
Yeah.
our mindset that we take as leaders can be positively or negatively contagious. So if you're like, you know what, I'm just going to blow it off and people don't see you going for the dream or sharing your dream or living your dream, you know what? I'm going to do the same thing. Versus, hey, guess what? I don't care if your dream is to just, go be a great parent. And I want to say just be, but my dream is to be a great parent, really not focus on the company. It's like, okay, well, how can we get your kids involved? Okay, my big dream is to go run a race. Okay, cool. My big dream is to go travel. Cool. But we have to see the leader doing something big that they're afraid of and explain and share that they're afraid of it, but they push through. I mean, too many leaders, we try to be perfect. And the case was nobody's perfect. So as a leader, it's okay to step up and say, hey, you know what? I'm not the best at this. I would love all of you to come with me because this is the big dream for the company. I need your help. Back to our case about ordering. I've never been here to this restaurant before. I don't know what they have on the menu. Well, what are you looking for? Red wine. Okay, let me help you out. So I'm allowing you to live your dream, and watching you live your dream excites me. But you're like, oh, wait, Frank cared enough to help me with my thing. What can I do to help him out? So it's reciprocal. So this thing keeps going around. And that's true leadership. We're, once again, educating, energizing, and empowering each other because we're not putting ourselves first. We're saying, hey, I can live the dream, but I guess what? I want you to live it along with us too, so we can celebrate together.
I love that. I love that. Can you tell us what fresh mindset is?
Fresh mindset. Yes. So a fresh mindset, you heard me kind of say it earlier, quite simply is like, I'll ask you, because like I said, I interview people too, so it's hard for me to just do it one-sided here. But when you think of the word fresh, is that positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive, right? So what's something that you're thinking of right now that's positive, that's fresh?
The summit.
The summit. Okay. Yeah. So the summit, this leadership summit is, it is fresh. It's new. It's exciting. It's wanted. It's needed. It needs to be shared with people, right? So all we think about is something that's positive. So I say a fresh mindset. A fresh mindset is when you're focusing on what can happen versus what can't happen. We're focusing on all the good, all the positive. Is there negative out there? Yes, but it's more rewarding to focus on what you can do versus what you can't. So when I say a fresh mindset, it's, quote, crafting a mindset, because it takes work to do this. It doesn't just happen overnight. But you're developing a mindset where you're willing to commit your time, your talent, your team, and your treasures to live your dreams while helping others live theirs. So I'll break it down. So when I say fresh mindset, are you willing to commit your time? So everybody's like, I don't have enough time to go do this. Well, yes, we can make time in our schedules if the dream is truly important and we hunger for it. Okay, well, I don't know what to do. Okay, well, how about what can you do? What's your talent? What are you naturally gifted at? Okay, let's think about what you can do versus what you can't. All right, but I don't know this information. Well, who's in your network? Who are your, your team? Yeah, your resources. Think of, we talk about human resources, but yeah, who are the human resources around you can help you out? I often tell people, if I don't have the answer for you, I probably know somebody who does have the answer. So think about the people around us. We don't have to do it all ourselves or know everything. Just surround yourself by people. And then the final piece is treasures. So we have some physical things that we have. So a lot of times, when I'm working with people like, well, Frank, I don't have the money or the knowledge or the experience. Like, well, what do you have? What can you barter off? So person recently spoke to, they're really good at social media marketing, but they wanted to be coached by someone. Like, well, how about this? Sit down for an interview with that person, ask them the questions and say, hey, how can I help you out? I'm really good at social media marketing. Can I barter with you? You teach me leadership skills. I'll teach you how to market yourself. Woo, and it works. So now what happens is they're both living their dreams. This person needs to market the fact that they're a great leader. This person needs to get leadership skills. So what you're doing, once again, it's a commitment, but it's a mental commitment. Your mindset, I tell people, is your, essentially, when you say fresh mindset, it is your mental cookbook. All right.
Ooh, so, your mental cookbook.
Yeah. A cookbook contains recipes on how to make something into reality, a vision to reality, right? If your cookbook has no recipes in there, you're like, you know what? I can't cook it up. I can't do it. If you got a fresh mindset, then that means you have a cookbook full of either recipes or other chefs or cooks who that you can reach out to are going to say, okay, here's the ways you cook up this dream. So you're thinking about all the things that you can produce versus what you can't. And the ultimate piece is, because I'm reading your mind now, we're talking about mindsets, is when I say fresh mindset, it breaks down to 5 letters, because I'm like, okay, I want people to not think about it, not to talk about it. I want them to live it. So I want people to live fresh. I want them to have this fresh mindset. And the way you craft this mindset, quite simply, is the 5 letters that make up the word fresh. So the ultimate piece is, and we've been talking about it here during this interview, is the first letter is F, so fresh. Okay, so that means focus. What are you focused on? What are you truly hungry for? So are you living focused every day? What's the big focus? What's the thing that you really, really want, you hunger for, you desire? And everybody knows there's something that we really desire. Other things are shiny objects. So that's the F, focus. Next piece is resourceful. So are you living resourceful, thinking about what you do have versus what you don't? And the biggest resource are the people around us, our networks. So you're focusing on the resources that you have, because we always get people like, I don't have the resources. No one's ever had all the resources that they need. So stop thinking that way. I mean, start thinking about what you do have versus what you don't. So get resourceful. After that, enthusiastic. Okay, if you're not excited about it, then you're not excited about it. The people around you as leaders aren't excited about it. They can see it. They can see through the BS. So if you're not truly excited about it, you're not living excited about this big passion or dream, it's hard to sell something you don't believe in. So you got to be excited. Is it keeping you awake at night? Are you excited about it? Do you want it? Do you need it? Can you hunger? Can you taste it? Excited. After that, you got to be strong. And when I say strong, I want you to live mentally strong. Where your mind goes, your body follows. As soon as you decide to quit or give up, like when my kids are like, I quit, I'm like, then guess what? You don't have a chance. I help coach kids sports. I'm like, come on, guys, you can do this. Think about, what do you want? I want to run around the bases. Okay, think about that piece there. So you got to be mentally strong. And the best way to be mentally strong is to be around other mentally strong people. So people, environments, cultures, where people who are saying, you know what? I just don't take no for an answer. I'm going to work a way through it and figure out how to make it happen. All right, cool. And then the final one, the H, is honest. You have to be honest with yourself. Are you helping the process or hurting the process? We want to blame everybody else when it comes to like leadership, especially. It's their fault. It didn't happen. No. Did you make the phone calls? Did you make the emails? Did you train people? Did you say, hey, I need to get better? Did you go to that training? Did you come to the summit? What are you doing to make yourself better? You have to sit down and reflect on yourself and say, hey, you know what? The person who allows me to live my dream looks at me in the mirror every day. Before I want to go complain or blame other people, I need to look at myself in the mirror and say, what are you doing to make this happen? So when we talk about possessing this fresh mindset, you have to ask yourself, are you living focused, resourceful, enthusiastic, strong, and honest? When you can do that, now you at least have the mindset to go and learn the skills that you're teaching here in this summit, or the other speakers are teaching, that you can go apply to your life as a leader.
I love that acronym. And I love how it's so aligned with your brand, but it's so powerful and true.
Yeah, I mean, essentially all I'm sharing right now is, I told people, they're like, oh, you're an expert. It's like, no, I'm not an expert, but I am the expert of me. And I'm just sharing what I did to start a business, what I did to become a better leader in my family and the household. Was all those areas we just shared earlier. When I lacked focus, I didn't get results.
Yeah.
When I started to think about, I don't have any resources and whatever, then guess what? I didn't find them.
Right.
When I didn't have energy, I was chasing after things that really weren't exciting me. It's like, guess what? Fell flat on my face. When I was mentally weak and just judging why I couldn't do anything, guess what? Fell apart. And when I lied to myself, that's a big one. I lied to myself constantly. I'm not this, I'm not that. I don't know. They're better than me. Those are all the reasons. So the reason this is so real to you is that's essentially me opening up my diary, opening up my journal to explain, these are the 5 things that I failed in, and I needed to flip it over and say, okay, these are the 5 things I need to succeed in if I ever want to achieve the results that I want.
And which actually leads me to my next question, because it's when the times are the hardest that our mindset is the most important.
Yes.
And so in those times of the highest pressure or even devastation, or when things feel like you're falling apart, you feel like you can't keep up, just the more challenging times, what are some suggestions that you can make to get us into that fresh mindset instead of that opposite kind of like separate? Yeah.
Well, I told people I took 3 years of culinary way back in high school, and I've worked in food service.
You actually did.
Yeah.
Good.
So I'm going to throw in some culinary terms here. So the first thing is, when we have these dark times, number one is, I usually tell people, I suggest at least 4, but you need to have some taste testers in your life. So I say taste testers, these are people that you know and you trust, you're willing to share your dreams with. Because like if we're cooking right now and you're one of my taste testers, what I'm going to do is like, okay, taste this. And you're going to say, Frank, it needs more salt, less salt. It's too sweet, not sweet enough. And what happens is I'm, number one, willing to listen to your feedback, knowing that you want the best for me. I've shared what my dream is, the result that I want, and you're going to be able to help. So you have to be willing to take feedback. So you have to have at least 3 or 4 people in your life that you trust. So when you have these down times, you're like, hey, I want you to be my taste tester. I want you to help me achieve my best. And that means good times and bad. I'm going to contact you. And I'd say contact these people on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. I've got a couple of taste testers and we talk once a week. Just let them know what's going on in life. So that's the first piece. So you got to build that team.
A solid support system, an ability to receive feedback and ask for feedback. Ask
for feedback and understand that they're going to probably give you feedback you don't like, but they're giving you feedback you don't like, but it's going to allow you to get the results that you do like. Too many times we want to do things the way we want and get what we want. And it doesn't work out that way. Some people, it's more important to do it the way they want than to get the result that they want. And that's the thing that has to shift on people, where it's just like, well, I don't want to do it that way. Well, guess what? If you want to, quote, pay off your bills, then you have to stop spending too much. That's just, you can't do both. But that's how some people will go and think. So that's the number one, is you got to have these taste testers. Now, once you have that, when you do have these down times, you have to be willing to pick up the phone, email, meet in person to let these people know that you are having this downtime. And the thing is, they're going to be there to remind you about the good thing that you've accomplished, to let you know there are tough times, but here's how the way to go through. So it's not only to have this group, but you have to be willing to reach out to that group. And if that group isn't available, the third one you're going to do is this. If you think about any restaurant or business, when you walk in, what do they normally have by the register or the front door? They have like all the newspaper clippings of all the good stuff that they've done in the past. You have to ask yourself, do you have an area in your office, in your home, somewhere that reminds you of all the good things that you have done in the past? Because many times we're so critical and self-deprecating for ourselves, we forget about the good things that we had. So what are you proud of? So many times when I coach people, I say your screensaver, your phone cover, whatever, it should have something that you're proud of, your friends, your family, your kids, an accomplishment to remind you, you know what? I am good. Here's what I've cooked up in the past. And if I've done that in the past, and I can come back, because we have to remind ourselves, because many times there may be a down day or down moment, but then we pile on by going, yeah, you're not good. You can't do this. It's bad. And we beat ourselves up, versus why are we beating ourselves up? The world's already doing enough of that. We have, we have to be there to lift ourselves up. So if you start to look, like right for me, I can't really turn my camera, but to my left side right now, my office there's at least 30 pictures that my daughter, who's 7 years old, she's been drawing them since she's like 3, that she's drawn that's on the wall. So no matter how bad my day could be, my daughter still loves me. I mean, that's just something to go back and look at. And you have to remind, but it's also folks like, okay, you can't give up, because you have to take care of that little girl.
That's right.
You have to take care of your wife. You have to take care of your son. So you might get down for a little bit, but when you have the support group where you go, hey, you know what? I'm having a down day. Hey, remember when you did this? Remember you did that? Hey, are you looking at your wall right now? Boom. And now you go back and you refocus and you go, you know what? Am I hungry? Yes, yeah. I'm hungry. And here's the one that I love. You'll love this one. A burnt meal doesn't stop you from being hungry. Okay? I'll say it one more time. A burnt meal doesn't stop you from being hungry. So when you get that meal that we want to eat and desire for, right? We've all had that point. And we go home and we start to make it, and all of a sudden you get distracted, something goes on, and you smell that burning smell. You're like, we don't just give up and say, oh, okay, I'm not hungry anymore. No, you start over again, and you either try to recreate that meal, or you lie to yourself, you make a peanut butter and jelly. Okay, this is what I plan to make. But the thing is, you're working towards it. You put just as much energy into complaining about something as you do to make it happen. But the thing is, when you make it happen, the reward is so much better than just saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to complain, blame. It's the worst time of my life. I'm going to give up. Guess what? Same energy, same focus. Focus that area to where you want to go versus where you don't want to go.
I love that. And it's in those hardest moments where you really need to focus on doing that.
Yeah. I mean, and you shared some of the story about people joke with me. Is like, I told people I got fired in a kitchen. Okay. Panera Bread Company got fired in a kitchen. So the guy named Kitchen got fired in a kitchen on Father's weekend. My wife was pregnant with our second child, and I had to go to my in-laws' house and tell my father-in-law, hey, guess what? I'm fired. I have no job. I'm going to be a professional speaker. Talk about down times.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, if I can make it through that, back again, having that board of things that you've gone through, that's one of my darkest times. If I can go through that, guess what? 2 years later, COVID hits. COVID hits. Okay, I'm running a company. It's going to be the best year ever. And then all of a sudden, a week, all my work disappears. Oh my God, COVID, the world's going to end. The last 3 years have been the most successful in my business. And even my father-in-law asked, he goes, what happened? I'm like, if I can talk to you after I lost my job and got fired and your third grandchild's on the way, it's like, COVID's got nothing on that. I'm like, you're a But that's how I made it through COVID as a leader and inspired other people too, is going, well, hey, guess what? Let me go look at a dark time that I made it through that. And let me apply that same idea, the same mindset, the same recipe. That's when I talk about being honest. Hey, what's something big you've done in the past that you're proud of? Can you take that same recipe, tweak it to what you're going for now? So we always have to find something that we've done great in the past and remember that more than all the negatives, because the negatives are easy. We're bombarded by negative stuff every day. Media, news, friends, people, life, whatever it is. We have to make the conscious choice, the commitment that we said earlier, to focus on what can I do? It's easy to figure out what you can't do, but it's hard, and it's hard work. As a leader, being a leader is hard. I'm in several leadership positions. It's hard work, but when you focus on, okay, here's the result I want, then guess what? You'll have that energy and you'll be able to go work your way through. Is it going to be easy? No. And I always share people, it's like, nothing is easy, but anything is possible. Okay? Nothing's easy, but anything is possible. And what happens is we're in this world where you try to make everything look easy. So when we see somebody else doing something that looks easy, guess what? They've made a lot of mistakes or they put a lot of work and energy into it. And the number one thing we should do is not harp on it or feel bad about ourselves. We need to go reach out to them. It's like, hey, can you explain to me what you did? I mean, that's what I explain to all the leaders I work with. I was like, the number one question would be, is like, tell me all the mistakes that you made. Don't ask about the successes. But like when we cook something or food, we always ask people like, hey, how did you make that? So same thing. When we see somebody who's successful, a leader who's successful, go ask them like, how did you make that? How did you cook that up? And they'll be most of the time willing to share with you. And when you hear that, it's like, oh, it's possible. Shift your mindset and you start to go back to the track like, okay, it's a little bit hard. I burned it. Let's clean it up, start over again, and let's keep going. Because I want to create this masterpiece, this tasty result that everybody wants to, have, they want to enjoy, and many are going to want to replicate. Yeah. That's what we have to think about.
I love that. That's amazing.
Well,
thank you. And thank you for sharing all of this. I mean, our mind is literally what is going to take us to the next place. And I feel that, most of the leaders on this call understand that, but sometimes it's still hard, even when you can conceptualize it, sometimes it's still hard to expand that mindset and get to the next step where you're actually starting to focus on the right things and focus on what you want versus all of the things that are stressing you out and fighting for your attention. And, it really takes that awareness and intention to focus your mind in a fresh mindset, but that's what's going to pull you out of it and help you really thrive and reach those dreams that you get to dream and dare to dream.
Exactly. And like, we just have to make sure we become like that fire extinguisher in our lives so much we don't recognize that we put the fire out versus we have to be the ones who keep the fire going, ignite that fire. And it starts with your mind, because where your mind goes, your body will follow. And that's the ultimate piece. No matter what you're teaching here in the summit right now, it's going to be great information. If they apply it, it's going to be great. But none of it matters if they don't have the mindset of, I can do this. Let me figure out how I can do this. How do I make it happen? I mean, that's the ultimate piece now. We call it soft skills and hard skills. We can teach people all the hard skills in the world, but the soft skill comes from belief that we can, do it, and then taking the action or reaching out to people, asking the questions, doing the research. If you're not willing to do that part there, then the rest, I'll be honest, it doesn't matter. Like you said, so far, I think I talked to you today, you get, somewhere you're going to have upwards of 20 people you're going to interview for this summit, which we know they're going to give 21. They're going to give, blackjack, boom, hit the number, lucky number. They're going to be giving great information. But the case is, information means nothing if you don't believe in showing up and listening to all of it. And if you don't believe in applying it. The knowledge doesn't matter if we're not applying it. The knowledge doesn't matter if you don't believe that you can apply it. So it's not that, there's not enough information out there. There's not enough resources that I can't do it. Once again, we got to look ourselves in the mirror or the selfie cam and ask ourselves, hey, am I willing to cook this up? Am I hungry enough for this? And if you say no, then guess what? That's not the thing that's your focus. Find the thing that's gives you that energy. It wakes you up at night in a good way. It wakes you up at a point where you got to share it with everybody. You're not afraid to share it. You're unapologetic. And as leaders, that's when you know you're in the right spot. When you're unapologetic and aren't afraid to share it, then it means you're going to live it.
I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Frank, how can people find you?
All right. So there's one of me. So it's not too hard. Like people always ask, like, is that kitchen with an S on it? I'm like, nope, just like your house, only one kitchen. So the case is it's FrankKitchen.com. So if people want any information, so more interviews like this, they can go on the website. There's resources, links, videos, tons of stuff, but just FrankKitchen.com. So FRANK and then kitchen spelled just like the room. So there's 2 Ks in the middle, but FrankKitchen.com, and you'll see email, social media. So anybody watching, listening to this right now, if you want to continue the conversation, this is the start of a relationship. Just go to the website, look me up, reach out to me, and then we'll start talking.
I love it. And I really encourage everyone who's listening to do so, because I feel like there's so much more of a wealth of information and inspiration and motivation and clear, distinct mindset shifts that can change your life behind Frank. So thank you. Thank you for sharing what you've shared with us today. It's been amazing. And if you apply it, it is life-changing.
It will be. And then we can all celebrate over a glass of red wine.
Yes, I love it. Everybody, Frank Kitchen here. Thank you so much.